and peer pressure is real. Peer pressure is real. How have you been able to navigate through your educational journey? Is it your family? Is it your community? Is it your church? Is it the school? Is it a combination of all of those factors?
I feel like it's a combination of everything you just said because, my parents, they've been telling me about this since I was young. They've been telling me about the temptations that's going to be happening at the school. It's like, especially because, I understand my situation. I know where I live. I live in like a, I don't want to say, but like I live in a underdeveloped city. Well, my area is, I see daily people using drugs. I see all that happening. I've seen people with guns, even around my school, walking around. And though, my parents, they've been teaching me from young to avoid that and to, make sure I keep my head straight, make sure I know where I'm like, what I'm doing, what I go to school for, and like what my goal is, and never get sidetracked. And I also feel like it's about who you surround yourself with, right?
How do you find the mental strength to stay focused and understanding that there is a journey, there is some culmination, there is light at the end of the tunnel, there are some rewards once you complete your race? How do you as young people in this day and age with everything that's done overnight, how do you stay focused?
I just feel like me thinking about my future pushes me a lot because it's like I want to be able to I don't know, me and my parents don't get along stuff, but like I would just like to have the freedom. I want to learn how to be an adult, and I want to take responsibility for everything I'm supposed to take responsibility for. I want to build a life, have a family, and I just look forward to the future because I know sometimes things can get bad, but something I heard one day, you can't let one bad hour ruin the rest of the other 23.
Let's hone in on the notion of teaching and learning that is now placed on you at home, and the role that very often society has taken for granted that the teachers play in that particular learning process. And all of you have been in public schools your entire lives, so you've had the benefit of the role, the responsibilities, and the impacts that teachers had. So with schools being shuttered, you're now virtual. Talk to me about your perspective on teachers and the role that they play.
We still have to give them credit as well, because not only students' mental were probably affected by this, but teachers as well. Like, they have to sit at home as well, get on Zoom and try to teach a whole lesson to kids who may not even be paying attention, who probably on their phone, or to the little students who do care and who are still trying. So we still have to give them like their claps, their round of applause as well, because it's not easy for both ends. And then the respect that's given to the teachers on Zoom was crazy during the pandemic. Like, random students coming in, it was just horrible. Like, so they felt some type of way that we felt as well. So I definitely had to give it to the teachers.
Alyssa, you mentioned that you just got in the 7th grade, correct?
Yes.
So you weren't involved in any drama type programs? I know you did the dance.
I would do separate stuff that'll be related to theater, but I've never done just theater.
Talk to me about it now. How do you feel about it? Talk to me about your experience right now.
I just love it. Like, it's a way for kids who don't know how to express themselves. It's an outlet for them to express themselves. And it's not just theater. It's not just going in front of a camera and acting. It helps you with social skills. It helps you with stage fright. It helps you with talking in front of a crowd, which are basic life skills that even if you're not an actress or an actor, absolutely, you're just gonna need those in life.
Back then, one would say potentially, maybe one out of millions, but not us, not me. Mm-hmm. Children should not even participate in a production that deals with that particular topic. Mm-hmm. you get into academic freedom, you get into other issues. Have you had any thought around some of those recent topics that come up, and how, as an educator, do you feel? I'm not asking you what you plan to do about it. How do you
Right.
feel about that from an artistic standpoint?
Like I said before, it was a story that had not been told, of people that had not been seen. And I feel like if we lead with love, Dr. Gallen, that's really all we need to do. If we lead with love and compassion, no matter what you think about, right? Whatever your particular opinion is, if you lead with love, that should guard you. That should guide you, rather. And that's what I try to do. Of course, we have students from all backgrounds. We have students who have all kinds of things going on with them, and they're struggling. How can I turn a blind eye to that?
Clearly there's a relationship between the students and Dr. Simonette.
Yes.
Dr. Simonette, how do you cultivate or square this whole notion of making what they do relevant, what they do rigorous? Because I'm listening to grade point averages. These are not students that are just simply skipping classes in the hallway, but can drop some bars. You know what I mean? They're getting it done in the classroom.
One thing, I look at my students as books, poems, music, songs waiting to be written, and they are the primary source. So I allow them to bring all of that into the classroom. When you immediately let a student walk into your room to be them unapologetically, there is something that automatically happens in the classroom.
But it's baffling for me to think about what it is like for you all to face the challenge of the disloyalty. The disloyalty from student athletes. Yeah, this is real talk. I said it. I'll say it again. So if you are part of that disloyal family, let's have at it. The disloyalty that I see and the abuse of the flexibility that many of our students have.
And that's a piece that the parents aren't aware of. They're just thinking, okay, I could transfer him here. So literally you could have a kid play football for me, play basketball for him, and then go to Central and run track in 1 year.
In the same year?
Yes, in the same year.
In the same year?
Yes.
It's just the fact that these days, like Ms. McLeod said, the parents are allowing a 16, 17-year-old child, or even
How would you describe some of the challenges relative to when you get students in 9th grade and now you have about 2 to 3 years to get them proficient enough to not simply graduate, but be prepared to transition into the world of work and the world of reality?
I see it as the marathon and the sprint at the same time.
Yes, sir.
I've always said, you know, we in the high school level, we deal with the difficulty that we receive kids that, again, maybe 2, 3, 4 years behind, and we have 2 years to create the miracle, but it doesn't end there. So I know many of our various feeder patterns, I know ours in the Carroll City, we're sitting down and having those real collaborative conversations on what will it take to assist the elementary and the middle school to get them more proficient for us in the high school level. Also, we'll be tackling the attendance issues, also the mental needs issues, and also marketing our entire feeder pattern on the whole. Mine is one of the tiniest feeder patterns within the district. So how can we get more of our kids to stay in Carroll City feeder pattern in the elementary and the middle school so that they retain for the high school? But that takes the conversation of not just us as the colleagues on the high school level, we really have to reach back and talk to our middle school.
How have you been able to navigate your leadership style in terms of working with both young adults and adults in the same context? I know that's a very difficult question, but we're talking about young adults and adults in the same context?
Well, I mean, I'll jump in there. And you said something that kind of triggered a thought for me, is that, you know, at the elementary school, we teach subjects, we teach children, and at the high school, we teach subjects. And we have begun a process of doing walkthroughs, and one of the things on my check-through list when I go through walkthroughs is enthusiasm. And that is, I think, is part of my leadership style, is that we should be enthusiastic about what we're doing. And that in turn, it rubs off on the kids. And if the kids are excited about the process, then you get excited, and you got to create that excitement. So one of the things on my checkoff list now is, how enthusiastic is this teacher about their subject area? And I want to make sure that they're projecting that with our teachers, with our students. And that's the leadership that I'm trying to push out onto my teachers. It's that we've got to build relationships, and that relationship has got to be built in a positive manner. It's not about you're here because you have to be here. It's here because we have something for you. We're going to try to provide you with a product that you can leave here with. We're going to provide you with skills that you can leave here with. And I think when you nailed it down, it's just not subjects. We got to teach the whole child.
I didn't have that benefit. I actually transitioned directly from an elementary school to a high school. Tremendously important leap. How would you describe that transition in terms of preparing you for the high school experience?
I would definitely say going back a little bit, coming from elementary, then moving to middle, then moving to high school, I really have a good foundation to understand that closing that achievement gap is so critical. And in elementary school, we're working really hard to make sure that those students are prepared and ready. And then in middle school, we see the gap widening. But in high school, having those experiences, knowing what to do with those students, and being in a high school, bringing that element to the high school was an eye-opener for me.
What was the process that you went through during the initial launch of Zoe's Dolls? Did you start out with 2, 3, 5? What did you tell your parents? How did you come about that in terms of not simply accepting bullying, but really leaning into who you are, what you represent, and quite frankly, as they say, doing it for the culture? Okay, how did you start that particular process?
So currently, I was at Miami Country Day School, where the school was not a lot of kids that looked like me. So when my mom found out that I was being bullied, it was important that she immersed me in with people who look like me and have me in activities where I can see other girls doing great things who look like me. So I was in tennis at Pepper Park, playing tennis. I was in Ariel. She brought me books. I had Rid of My Black Authors that featured black girls. She was putting me in different activities where I can see my beauty, and that was like how I got it started. Well, I couldn't start an organization and not have confidence in myself. So I really had to work on my self-love and learn how to love who I am and my skin and my hair, and before I went on to help other girls. So that was really important to my mom and my family, to make sure that I had self-love.